Thanks very much, Betty. I am joined by Senator Fischer here in our Washington studios. Good to see you. Thank you for the time. And while we were talking here off camera earlier, the president releasing this report, the White House, on climate change. I know you've been critical of the administration, particularly with regard to how it's dealing with the coal industry. But what do you make of a report here that basically says things are going to get worse in America because of the issue of climate change, including places like the Great Plains, like your state of Nebraska?
Well, I think we have to look at the facts on this. You know, we hear from the administration and many people on the other side that are saying, well, the debate's over. Well, I would argue that. The debate is not over. We have a number of scientists, including Dr. Allison McFarland, who's with the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. She's an earth scientist. She was asked at a hearing on the EPW committee, well, are these extremes in weather, you know, they're happening. What are you going to do to prepare your agency for those? And she said, as an earth scientist, these extremes that people are calling them in weather, those are normal. Those are normal patterns that we see. And so I think the debate is not over, and instead we're seeing the president who maybe is blind to some of these facts. And I have a state that has coal-fired electric plants. We are a public power state, which is pretty unique here in the United States. And the costs that are going to be imposed upon Nebraskans because of policies like this, that's not the way that we should be moving.
The administration is making a case there will be costs imposed on Nebraskans, farmers, in terms of drought, the impact on crops, unless the country does something more on this issue. Coal-fired power plants, single biggest source of carbon dioxide in this country.
Well, again, I think the president's blind to the facts. Let's look at this. You know, it's a global situation that we have here. He's focused on hardly discernible outcomes here in the United States when we're watching what's happening in China and India. I don't believe we should impose these kind of restrictions on the people here in the United States, and on especially a region in the United States that includes my state, that's going to have really a negative impact on people, and it's going to affect their pocketbooks. It's going to affect this economy. It's going to affect the economy of states. And again, for very little impact.
Well, let's talk about a related issue, and that is the Keystone Pipeline. It could be a vote, potentially, in the next few days on the U.S. Senate floor, where it would be a vote that would compel the president to finally authorize the Keystone Pipeline. Some Democrats will vote for it, but Democratic leadership seems pretty confident they have enough votes to basically fend it off. Your take on this issue politically, is this a winner for Republicans in this midterm election year?
I think we need to look at the energy package as a whole. The Keystone is a big part of that, but we need to look at an energy package as a whole. And when we have a majority leader, Harry Reid, in the Senate of the United States not allowing amendments on an energy bill, that really is not what we want to see happen. We have such great resources in this country that need to be managed responsibly. We need a balanced portfolio. We're able to work together, I think, across the aisle and accomplish that. Keystone's one of those things. We have a number of Democrats who support it as well. They understand it.
Do you think there are the votes right now to pass it? Are there 60 votes for it in the Senate?
You know, I'm not counting the votes on it. But when you look at the vote that we took last year on the Keystone Pipeline and building it, there were 62 votes. I believe that this administration and the leadership in the Senate would put a lot of pressure on some of those members on the other side of the aisle to have them not vote for this bill. And I believe that then they'd have to be accountable to their constituents back in their home state.
You were elected in 2012. There's a lot of talk right now about a split within the Republican Party between the Tea Party, more establishment side of things. We've got primaries around the country today, important ones, where some of that split is playing out. What's your sense right now about the chances for Republicans taking hold of the Senate?
I think we have a great opportunity here, and I'm very optimistic that the Republicans are going to take the majority. I always like to say Republicans have a big tent. We have a number of views within our party. There's no litmus test. And so I think that's a strength that we have, that we are individuals. We can represent our states. We can represent our views and on the issues that are important to the people in our states, and that's what makes us strong. And we're going to see Republicans take the majority. I look forward to being in the majority.
All right, Senator Deb Fischer of Nebraska, we appreciate you joining us here on Bloomberg.